What's going on, guys? Today I wanted to bring you another one of my 2014 NAWCQ hat format deck profiles. The deck I'm going to bring you today is Evilswarm, which I know a lot of people like, but back in the day I just never really liked this deck. But then revisiting it more recently, I found that I really do actually enjoy it. It's kind of strange the circle that this deck has come in, and I think it was more so once I got a build that I actually liked, because there's so many different builds of this that finding like a good build that played well and felt consistent was kind of difficult. But I found a couple sort of similar lists after diving really deep online and then play testing with it, and I really do enjoy it. So anyways, guys, let's get straight into this deck profile. So starting off with the monsters, we play 3 Evilswarm Kirkion. Also, one thing is these are basically like the evil Constellars, so I'll reference those a little bit as well. So Kirkion is basically the Constellar Sombre of the deck, where the main effect you need to know is you can banish a Evilswarm monster from your graveyard, target another, add it to your hand, and then you have an additional summon, so this allows really easy rank 4 access. After that, 3 Evilswarm Caster on normal summon gives you an additional normal summon that turn of an Evilswarm. 3 Evilswarm Mandragora, it's a really good extender. Pretty much if your opponent controls more monsters than you can special summon it from the hand. So Caster's really good going first. Mandragora is kind of a better way to go second, to kind of make it a little more fair in order to get into your Xyz plays. 3 Thunderbird, really good card on its own. Being able to dodge card effects and stuff, but as well just being a stronger Evilswarm and just a solid option. And the last Evilswarm we play are 3 Heliotrope. 1950 on a normal summonable monster is really strong. And to pair with that, we're also playing a Rescue Rabbit just so we can get those out of deck fast and make a solid rank 4. That's it for the monsters. Moving on to the spells, we play 3 Infestation Pandemic. This makes so all face-up E-Swarm monsters you control are unaffected by other spell and traps for till the end of the turn. So it's basically like a super lance for all your monsters, so it's really good because it allows all your monsters to, survive all that back row that is in this format. So things like Breakthrough Skill, Fiendish Chain, Compulse, Torrential, etc. This just completely insulates your plays. Then I'm playing 2 copies of Chalice, just as a way to go second better into some of the like artifact decks that can like pop your normal summon, and kind of, how Infestation Pandemic gets around spell and traps. This is kind of your way to get around those monster effects that would interrupt you from making your rank 4s. So really important. 2 copies of MST. This deck can grind really well through back row, but there is some back row and floodgates that you would want to hit. Despite this deck being able to play floodgates really well, it can also kind of get hit by certain things. And also just clearing back row in general is really good, especially if you don't have the pandemic yet. So really good. 1 Allure because dark monsters. 1 Soul Charge. Soul Charge is like okay in this deck, but again with Kirkion, you kind of recycle your resources in grave anyways and get additional summons, so it's kind of like a pseudo Soul Charge in a sense. Not quite the same, but usually Kirkion makes you play through things anyways. 1 Rhoda to get to Caster, and 1 Dark Hole just to clear boards, and it's a good card. Next, the traps. 2 copies of Vanity's Emptiness. A lot of the format doesn't really main Vanities anymore, and if they do, usually it's just like a 1, 2, or 3 of. I know that's super generic now that I say that out loud. But what I mean by that is usually it's like only in specific decks that can take advantage of it. And I feel like this is one of the decks that can play better with it in the main, especially having big normal summonable monsters such as Heliotrope and Thunderbird. So I think that deck takes really good advantage of this compared to other decks where you would prefer to side this if you're going to play it at all. But I have really been liking 2, and you can also, because all your monsters are dark, you can lock out the opponent by doing the Key Beetle lock. So if you see emptiness, it actually has more benefits. 2 copies of Breakthrough Skill just as more negation. This deck is very grindy at times, so 2 Wiretap as well. I actually have really been enjoying those as well. It comes up in a lot of cases. 1 Infestation Infection. Similar to Pandemic, it's searchable off of your boss monster in the extra deck Ophion. And what this does is you can shuffle an Evilswarm monster from your hand or field into the main deck, and then add an Evilswarm monster from deck to hand. So you can kind of search whatever piece you need. You can get to Kirkion at any point. You can get to Caster easier. Just a really solid overall card. And then the next one I play, a lot of decks will side it, but I actually think this deck is crazy that it can main it, and it can Key Beetle lock this card, and that is Macrocosmos. This card just puts in so much work. Most decks in the format have some form of graveyard reliance, and just being able to turn off the graveyard is really, really good. It gives this deck that advantage, especially once we talk more about what Ophion can do. Really, really crazy card. And then lastly, I just play some power one-ofs besides that, which is 1 Compulse, 1 Torrential, Bottomless, Warning, and for the 40th card, I chose to play 1 Blackhorn. A lot of builds will play Blackhorn, but then a lot won't. I personally tried it at 1, and there's times where I wish I played more of this, like maybe even for example, cutting a Wiretap, putting in a 3rd MST, and then playing a 2nd of this. But honestly, I've really liked it at 1, so I think overall the deck is really solid, really good how it is. Moving on to the extra deck, we play 2 copies of Evilswarm Ophion. Some people might not like that I'm only playing 2. A lot of builds play 3. And after testing, I could see why they play 3. I might test it out later in the future, but for now, 1 Ophion comes up every game. 2 Ophions come up about half the time. 3 almost never came up for me. And so what this card does is you need 2 Evilswarm monsters to make it. While it has material, your opponent can't summon, or I guess any player, level 5 or higher monsters, they can't summon them. And then, actually, let me just pull this up. I'm kind of having a brain fart right now. It says, while this card has Xyz material, level 5 or higher monsters cannot be special summoned, so that can stop the artifacts, dragon rulers, different things like that. And then once per turn, detach an Xyz material from this card and add an infestation spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So this adds Pandemic, Infestation, really, really good card. There's tons of other E-Swarm cards that it can search, but I'm just playing the bare minimum because those are the best ones. 1 Key Beetle, like I had mentioned, 1 Karen Gorgon. This is really good with your emptiness and Macrocosmos. Better with Macro because it'll kind of turn off the emptiness in a lot of cases. But pretty much, yeah, being able to, if your opponent tries to MST or pop the Macro, because it is such a problematic card, being able to kind of redirect that target, really, really solid. 1 Ragnazero, 1 Evilswarm Bahamut. What this card is it's basically a snatch steal by discarding a card. A Evilswarm to be exact. I played 1 Thanatos. Some builds weren't playing this at all. I thought it was pretty cool. So that's why I'm playing the 1, and basically once per turn during either player's turn, you detach a material and it becomes unaffected by monster effects for this turn. So really good, especially if you have Pandemic, in order to make it unaffected by spell and traps as well. Black Ship of Corn, 101, Direwolf, double Exciton. Funny enough, it is in Archetype, so you can protect this with your Pandemic again. And just because this deck plays on such a interesting pace, double Exciton is really good. Dweller, Cowboy, and Rhapsody in Berserk to round it out. But anyways, that is the deck profile. If you guys have any questions about it, such as cards you should be siding in this deck, siding patterns, gameplay, or anything else you would like to see from me, definitely let me know in the comments section. And as always, I do appreciate if you drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And anyways, I will see you in the next video.